Some pretty shocking developing news coming out regarding terror attacks in the United States on U.S. cities. Let's take a look at the latest coming out today, December 4th, 2025. You can see here, third Afghan national from the Biden-era program arrested in a week by ICE agents in Virginia, according to the Department of Homeland Security. The third one this week arrested for potential terror attacks in the United States. Afghan national who entered the U.S. under Operation Allies. Welcome. Arrested for alleged ISIS-K links. So they're saying that Operation Allies Welcome during the Biden administration brought in tons of these individuals that wanted to do terror attacks against the United States. Third one this week arrested. Take a look at this one coming out 2 days ago. A traffic stop foils an alleged terror attack plot against UD Police, University of Delaware. We're hearing another one was captured. And take a look. Afghan citizen federally charged for posting threats to build bombs and end Americans. Now, I shared this with you. That individual was posting on TikTok. It says that this terror suspect said that he wanted to end Americans in Fort Worth and end himself in a bombing. And also, we saw the accused National Guard shooter held without bond after pleading not guilty to ending those two National Guards and assault charges from his hospital bed. And now we are hearing that the Trump administration is reviewing all Afghan nationals who entered the United States under the Biden administration, under Press Secretary Carolyn Levitz's word at the White House. So 3 now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. They're saying that the threat is very real. In various cities around the United States, we're hearing that there are individuals who want to commit these attacks on the U.S., and they are capturing them left and right. Just this week, 3 of them have been arrested. Man, let me know your thoughts. If you appreciate the Trump administration and the way they're handling this, drop a 47 in the comments if you feel like this is going to help make America safe again. Now, if you think no and you don't appreciate the way things are being done, drop a 46 for the previous administration. But right now, we're hearing that there are a lot of people that are glad that these individuals are being captured, that there are plans to commit attacks like we saw in Washington, D.C. just right before Thanksgiving. And now in the past week, 3 individuals with plans to commit these attacks in U.S. cities have been captured. So I'm going to dive right into the video footage and the articles, get you caught up on the latest so you know exactly what is going on here. Also, somebody asked in the comments about Mr. Adam Schneider from Schneider Reports. Adam, if you're watching this, shoot me an email or reach out to me on my socials. Put a comment on my pinned comment down below. Wanted to get in contact with you for a potential collaboration opportunity. Just have no idea how to get a hold of you. So shoot me an email or a message. I think it would be a great opportunity. A lot of people saying that we should collab on stuff. But let's go ahead and get you caught up on the latest news, you guys. If you appreciate the updates, hit that thumbs up like button for me. I see we've already got over 1,000 people on with me. If we get that like up to 500, it helps while we're live spread this out further across the YouTube platform so more people can get the latest updates. Subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? And as I mentioned to you, I've got some new links down below in the description. If you're looking to save money as we enter into 2026, we're hearing there could be some $2,000 tariff checks. We're hearing that there could be some changes to a variety of different things for the economy. There could be $1,000 Trump accounts going out to kids here. We're hearing that's on the way. And if you're trying to figure out ways to save right now, because there's a lot going on in the economy, links down below. A lot of different options, totally free to check out and see what is the best for assortment of different things. I just got a bunch of links down there for you if you're interested. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the video footage and articles so that way you can see for yourself what has been coming out here. A lot developing on these individuals that have entered the United States wanting to commit attacks. We've heard the warnings for quite some time about these sleeper cell groups in various cities. Let's go ahead and take a look at some video footage.
Police arresting an Afghan national and suspected ISIS-K terrorist in Virginia yesterday. Authorities say the suspect was brought into the U.S. under President Biden's Operation Allies Welcome program. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem saying former President Biden let nearly 190,000 unvetted Afghan nationals into the U.S. This marks the 3rd Afghan national arrested from the program in recent weeks.
The 3rd in just a week, we are hearing. Let's take a look at some more video footage. that has been coming out on this, so you can see more about some of the situations we've been seeing. This particular one is the one that we saw in Texas. Let's go ahead and take a look.
An Afghan national now facing terroristic threat charges after he posted a video saying he was building a bomb with Fort Worth, Texas, the intended target. Christina Coleman joining us live with the latest on that story from the Southland. Christina.
Hi, Kevin. Yes, DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin says just one day before the terrorist attack against the National Guard in Washington, D.C., another Afghan national who was paroled into the U.S. under Biden's Operation Allies Welcome program was arrested for threatening to blow up a building in Fort Worth. Authorities identified the suspect as Mohammed Dawood Alakoze. DHS says he's accused of posting a video of himself on TikTok indicating he was building a bomb intended for the Fort Worth area. Fox News' Brooke Taylor reports that he was arrested on Tuesday by the Texas Department of Public Safety and FBI in a coordinated law enforcement effort. Alakoze was paroled into the U.S. in September of 2022. He had been admitted as a lawful permanent resident. Also this week, President Trump called for a reform of the country's immigration vetting process following the attack on the National Guard troops on Wednesday, which involved a suspect who was also paroled into the U.S. under Biden's Operation Allies Welcome program.
Look, this is how they come in. This is how they're standing on top of each other, and that's an airplane. There was no vetting or anything.
Now, DHS says about 85,000 Afghans settled into the U.S. under Biden's Welcome Allies program. Sean Van Driver, the president of Afghan EVAC, says vetting was conducted, but again, a review of the vetting process will take place. Now, as for the suspect in Fort Worth, ICE has lodged a detainee on him, and he was charged at the state level with making a terroristic threat. Kevin?
Hey, everyone.
There you have it, you guys. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at what Senator Cornyn had to say on this as well. Today, December the 4th, 2025, and he is saying he has zero confidence on the vetting process during the Biden administration for those that entered into the United States. And let me know your thoughts as well. Do you have confidence in the vetting process for the individuals that entered into the U.S. during the Biden administration? Yes or no? Drop it in the comments. You're going to hear him say, I have zero confidence. And now we're seeing all these individuals, 3 this week, being captured that wanted to do terror attacks in U.S. cities. And he is saying during the Biden administration, they just poured in. Now, that individual that did that shooting in D.C. that ended those National Guards' lives, we heard that he actually was vetted. But they said we have zero confidence in the vetting process that took place. Let's go ahead and see this video footage coming out today.
Yeah, we just concluded a briefing from U.S. Customs and Immigration Service officials, which give me zero confidence that the Afghan nationals who came to the United States during the Biden administration were adequately vetted. It is it's like well, it's an unmitigated disaster, and unfortunately one young National Guardsman is dead and the other is seriously wounded as a result. But there's also been subsequent arrests of individuals, including an ISIS person connected with ISIS that was part of this group, and others that were later put on the terrorist watch list. This is part of the open border policies of the Biden administration that really is not confined to Afghan nationals, where they use this process known as parole, which basically means massive numbers of individuals were simply waived into the country, and we know next to zero about them. And of course, there are many casualties. Laken Riley, Jocelyn Nungare, and others of this massive parole of individuals into the United States, but the most recent of which, of course, is this young woman who, the National Guardsman, who was killed by this individual who was not properly vetted, and the federal government cannot tell you much, if anything, about him. And that is inexcusable.
Senator, do you at all regret your role and your leadership in the HOPE Act of 2021, which allowed 50,000 SIVs to be processed and come into the country?
Well, this individual and these Afghan nationals did not come in through any legislative act that we passed. This was strictly done by the Biden administration using what's known as parole. But parole is supposed to be done on a case-by-case basis, and it's illegitimate to try to do it and wave massive tens of thousands of people into the country that you know nothing about. So this is squarely at the feet of the Biden administration and their open border policies. It's another casualty that should never have occurred.
Do we know where a lot of these Afghan nationals are who have been in through parole? Is there an effort to know where they are?
My impression is we do not know where they are. The Biden administration simply lost track of them once they came into the country, again, without proper vetting. And it is, so we're going to have to do a massive investigation to track down where these individuals are before they commit other acts of violence or crimes, like this shooter who killed this National Guards woman from West Virginia. So,
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you concerned about this, or do you think it's not a big deal? If you're concerned, put yes in the comments. If you're not, put no. Let me know your thoughts. But he's saying, we believe they're all over the United States. We have no idea where they're at, actually. We've lost track of them because the Biden administration did not properly vet them, just let them pour in, and we don't know where they're at. Now, I have shared with you before, we had seen as well that list that was released by the FBI of various cities where they know there are sleeper cells. But that list is just the ones that they know of. There could be so many more all over the U.S., and we're hearing just waiting to coordinate orchestrated attacks across the United States. Physical attacks, cyber attacks, various different types of threats are major concerns right now in the United States. So let me know. Are you concerned about this? I'm seeing some yeses starting to pour into the comments. And do me a favor, if you haven't done so yet, please take a second. If you appreciate the live stream, I know this is not the news that anybody wants to hear, but if you appreciate the updates, hit that thumbs up like button for me. It helps spread this out while we're live on YouTube. But let's go ahead and take a look at these articles coming out so we can get you caught up on the various different cases. Now, just to clarify, I saw some people saying old news from a couple days ago. Well, that was the first one. There actually have been 3 now that we have seen in just this week. So, third Afghan. Let's start with the most recent. National from Biden era. Program arrested in a week by ICE agents in Virginia. Department of Homeland Security reports ICE arrests alleged ISIS-K supporter Jan Shan Safi in Virginia following 2 other terror cases as well. So again, this just coming out in the last 24 hours. This is the 3rd this week. U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement, or ICE agents, have arrested Afghan national Jan Shah Shafi, an alleged ISIS-K supporter brought into the country under the former President Joe Biden's Operation Allies Welcome in Virginia. Now, Safi was arrested as President Donald Trump and his administration confront a surge in terror cases tied to Afghan arrivals that occurred under the Biden administration. The Department of Homeland Security said on Wednesday that Safi arrived in the U.S. on September 8th of 2021 in Philadelphia. He applied for temporary protected status, though his application was terminated by the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem ended TPS for Afghans. And here's a picture of that individual. Today, our heroic ICE officers arrested this terrorist who provided material support to ISIS-K, Noem said in a news release. The Biden administration brought this terrorist into the U.S. under the disastrous Operation Allies Welcome program. The terrorist was arrested miles from our nation's capital, where our brave National Guard heroes, Sarah Beckstrom and Andrew Wolf, were shot just days ago by another unvetted Afghan terrorist brought into our country. The Biden administration created one of the worst national security crises in American history. Biden let into our country nearly 190,000 unvetted Afghan aliens, only determining who they were and their intentions when they were already on American soil, she continued. President Trump has been working every day since January 20th to clean up this unmitigated national security crisis. And again, if you support Donald Trump, drop a 47 in the comments if you appreciate this new vetting process. And also, if you haven't done so yet, again, please take a second, hit that like button. We're almost up to half of the room hitting that like button. Just looks like about 27 more likes. The Department of Homeland Security accused the Biden administration of relying on unvetted referrals to admit nearly 190,000 Afghan nationals into the U.S. The Trump administration put a stop to Afghan refugees' resettlement after Trump returned to the Oval Office in January because it saw the program as a massive threat to national security. Safi's arrest marks the third of an Afghan national who was released into the country under the Biden administration in less than a week, according to the Department of Homeland Security. And here's that individual that was involved in that D.C. shooting. On November 26th, Rahmanullah Lakhanawa, who was also released into the U.S. under Operation Allies Welcome, allegedly committed a terror and ambush-style attack on 2 National Guard members, ending their lives just blocks from the White House, or actually one of those lives. On November 25th, just a day before the attack, Mohammed Dawood Al-Khazai was arrested by local authorities and the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force after allegedly making bomb threats in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, Al-Khazai allegedly posted a video of himself on TikTok indicating that he was building a bomb, the Department of Homeland Security had said, and his intended target was the Fort Worth area. Now, he was also released into the United States under the Biden's Operation Allies Welcome and has been charged with making terrorist threats. So there you have it. There was another individual that we saw that was arrested for social media. And here's this individual again, Afghan. This is the most recent one. National who entered the U.S. under Operation Allies Welcome, arrested for alleged ISIS-K links. ISIS-K, also known as ISK, is the official Islamic State affiliated operating in the Khorasan, which comprises Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iran. The Department of Homeland Security on Wednesday yesterday arrested an Afghan national for alleged links to the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, Khorasan, or ISIS-K. The suspect, identified as Jean-Shas Safi, was arrested in Virginia. Now, according to the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, Safi was arrested by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, Homeland Security Investigations agents. Noem said that Safi entered the U.S. in September of 2021 under the Joe Biden's administration's Operation Allies Welcome program, which facilitated the migration of Afghan nationals who had worked with NATO troops during the invasion. Now, he applied for temporary protected status, but his application was terminated after Noem ended protection for Afghans. According to Noem, Safi supported ISIS-K and also provided weapons to his father, who is a commander of a militia group in Afghanistan. So ISIS-K, also known as ISK, is the official Islamic State affiliated operating in the Khorasan region, comprising Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Iran. Ever since the Taliban captured power in Afghanistan in August of 2021, they have been engaged in a bloody conflict with the ISK for territorial control. The Biden administration created one of the worst national security crises in American history. Biden let into our country nearly 190,000 unvetted Afghan aliens, only determining who they were and their intentions when they were already on American soil, Noem said. Safi was arrested more than a week after another Afghan national, Rahmanullah Lakhanawa, who also came into the United States under Operation Allies Welcome, opened fire at 2 National Guard troops in Washington, D.C., ending the lives of one of them and critically injuring the other. So there you have it, you guys. More articles coming out on this individual who was captured. Now, let's take a look at another one that happened this week. As I mentioned, 3 in just this past week. Here is another one. Traffic stop foils alleged terror attack plot against UD Police, University of Delaware. Now, it says, why should Delaware care? Well, a routine traffic stop resulted in the uncovering of a reportedly well-planned terror attack plot by a former University of Delaware student, potentially putting thousands of university students and staff at risk. It says a traffic stop at a Wilmington park unraveled a man's detailed terror attack plan against the University of Delaware Police Department, in which he professed a desire to become a martyr, according to law enforcement. The case stunned small Delaware, which has never experienced a terror attack or a mass shooting that other states have in the last 2 decades. Now, the arrest comes less than a week after 2 members of the West Virginia National Guard were shot in the streets of Washington, D.C. by a gunman. So even in Delaware, we're hearing some of these smaller states where you might not expect it, they have various different individuals that are plotting attacks. This is frightening to all of us. UD interim President Laura Carlson wrote to the university community in a letter on Tuesday, thanking the work of the Newcastle County Police, the FBI, the Department of Justice, and the UDPD in the case. I am incredibly grateful to these teams for their diligent investigation and coordination. Arrested was Luqman Khan, 25, a former UD undergraduate student who was born in Pakistan, but immigrated to the United States when he was a boy and is a U.S. citizen. He has no prior criminal records. Officers with the Newcastle County Police Department spotted a Toyota Tacoma parked in Canby Park in Wilmington's Hedgeville neighborhood at 11:45 p.m. on November 24th. Because the city park is closed after dusk, officers approached the vehicle where they found Khan. Khan was visibly nervous, avoiding eye contact with law enforcement and reaching in the same location multiple times, according to the criminal complaint. He was then ordered out of the vehicle, and when he failed to comply, he was detained for resisting an officer's commands, police said. During a search of the vehicle, officers reportedly found a loaded Glock handgun that had a conversion kit to make it a sturdier, shoulder-fired, submachine gun-like platform. They also found 3 other 27-round magazines of ammo and a 4th magazine that would not have fit the weapon, officers reported. And here's some images of what they detained. Now, also recovered from the vehicle was a bulletproof plate and a notebook, which included detailed information about guns and tactics on how to evade police detection, including stealing license plates and concealing his skin, according to court records. The notebook also included a map of the University of Delaware's building and the name of at least one UDPD officer and notes about entry points as well. Wow. And take a look here. You can actually see, looks like an image of some of the notes that this individual was putting together. Upon finding this evidence, Khan was turned over to the FBI, which conducted an interview. He acknowledged owning guns and stated that becoming a martyr was one of the greatest things that you can do and was a goal, according to court records. A federal judge then approved a search warrant for Khan's South Von Buren Street home in Wilmington, where officers reportedly found a second converted Glock handgun, a .556 rifle with a scope and a red dot sight, 10 extended magazines of ammo, several hollow point rounds, and a bulletproof vest with an armored plate matching the one found in his vehicle. Khan is charged with possessing an unregistered machine gun, which is, if convicted, carries a maximum of 10 years prison sentence. This case is a quintessential example of federal and state law enforcement collaborating to neutralize a grave threat to Delaware before the worst could come to pass. Acting U.S. Attorney Julian Murray said in a statement announcing the arrest on Monday. So there you have it, you guys. Another one. 3 just this week alone. And here's a release that actually came out from the DOJ's website. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Afghan citizen federally charged for posting threats to build a bomb and kill Americans on December 2nd. Mohammed Dawood Al-Khazai, 30, a citizen of Afghanistan residing in Fort Worth, Texas, had been federally charged for threatening to build a bomb, conduct a suicide attack, and to end the lives of Americans and others in a video shared on TikTok, X, and Facebook. A screenshot of a social media post that shared Al-Khazai's November 23rd statement is below, and here it is. And I actually played a little bit of the clip for you when this had first come out as well. Now, this Afghan national came into America during the Biden administration and, as alleged, explicitly stated that he came here in order to end the lives of American citizens, the Attorney General Pamela Bondi said. The public safety threat created by the Biden administration's vetting breakdown cannot be overstated. The Department of Justice will continue working with our federal and state partners to protect the American people from the prior administration's dangerous incompetence. We have zero tolerance for violence and threats of violence to end the lives of American citizens and others like those allegedly made by this individual, said U.S. Attorney Ryan Raybould for the Northern District of Texas. I applaud the rapid response of our federal and local law enforcement partners in identifying and apprehending him. Those individuals who jeopardize the public safety and security of North Texas residents will be swiftly brought to justice. This arrest demonstrates that FBI, it remains steadfast in our mission to defend the homeland and to protect the American people. Thanks to the public reports of a threatening online video, the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force apprehended this individual before he could commit an act of violence. We continue to ask that if you see something, say something. The special agent in charge, R. Joseph Rothrock of the FBI's Dallas field office, said, "Our commitment to keep America safe is unwavering. Online threats made by those hiding behind a screen will not be dismissed or taken lightly," said the special agent in charge, Travis Pickard, of Homeland Security Investigations. We will use every resource available to make sure that these perpetrators are found, arrested, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Alakozai is charged with transmitting a threatening communication in interstate commerce related to threats that he made on November 23rd on the video call, which was recorded and posted to multiple social media accounts, including TikTok, X, and Facebook. According to the complaint, the video shows Alakozai angrily gesturing and speaking Dari, a language commonly spoken in Afghanistan, while interacting with at least two other males on the video call. A screenshot of a social media post that shared Alakozai's November 23rd statement is below. As alleged, he threatened to conduct a suicide attack on the other participants on the call, as well as infidels and Americans. He claimed that he would build a bomb in his vehicle and talked about a particular yellow cooking oil container flavored by the Taliban in building improvised explosive devices in Afghanistan. Alakozai stated the Taliban were dear to him and that he came to the United States to end the lives of those on the call. He also claimed that he wanted to conduct a suicide attack on Americans. According to the complaint, Alakozai stated that he was not afraid of deportation or his life ending. Alakozai is currently in custody pending an initial appearance before a U.S. magistrate judge and further court proceedings. If convicted, he faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison. The investigation was conducted by the FBI's Dallas field office through the Fort Worth Resident Agency and the Department of Homeland Security, with the assistance of the Texas Department of Public Safety and the Fort Worth Police Department. Assistant U.S. Attorney Vincent Mazurko for the Northern District of Texas is prosecuting this case. And you can see this coming out just in the last 48 hours, as we have yet another case, 3 just this week, of threats of attacks in the United States. Man, let me know your thoughts. That is why we're seeing articles coming out like this on that same individual that we saw. And also, we've seen that the individual that was involved in that D.C. shooting has pled not guilty. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. But first, let's see what it was that we saw the press secretary had to say regarding what is going on right now with the Trump administration trying to clean up what they're saying unfolded during the Biden administration. And again, if you appreciate Donald Trump, what he's doing to try to take care of America, drop a 47 in the comments. Hit that thumbs up like button for me. Let's take a look at this.
Next, I would like to address the horrific tragedy that took place in our nation's capital that last week. A foreign terrorist that the Biden administration failed to properly vet ambushed 2 members of the West Virginia National Guard who were honorably serving here to keep the residents and visitors of Washington, D.C. safe. U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf was severely wounded in the attack and remains hospitalized while he continues to fight for his life. Tragically, U.S. Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom died of her wounds. She was just 20 years old. President Trump and the entire White House are praying for Andrew's full recovery at the request of his parents and their personal phone call with the president over the weekend. And we are keeping Sarah's family and friends in our prayers during this unimaginably difficult time. Sarah and Andrew represent the very best of America. 2 young patriots who were willing to put on the uniform and risk their lives in defense of their fellow Americans. Both of them truly embody the profound words spoken by Jesus Christ in the gospel. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. Sarah and Andrew are heroes, and we will never forget their sacrifice. That means ensuring the monster responsible for this atrocity is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and faces the most severe punishment possible. It also means reckoning with why this atrocity was allowed to happen in the first place, so that it may never occur again. Here are the facts. The terrorist who gunned down American soldiers blocks away from the White House in an ambush was an Afghan national who was flown into our country by Joe Biden's administration in September 2021 in the chaotic wake of their botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. One of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our great country. Joe Biden's historic failure in Afghanistan continues to haunt this country and our men and women in uniform. Not only did this surrender lead to a suicide bombing that killed 13 American heroes in Kabul, but now National Guard troops were shot on U.S. soil by the same kind of enemy. We continue to live with the deadly consequences of Joe Biden's horrific leadership. Nearly 100,000 Afghans were recklessly released into the United States with little to no vetting. There was no regard for the disorder and violence that this would unleash on American communities and American culture. Reportedly, thousands of these strangers and unknown individuals were flagged to the Biden administration for national security, public safety, and fraud concerns. But the terrifying truth is that the Afghanistan debacle is just a small part of Democrats' complete and total betrayal of the American people during the Biden years. The tragedy that we just witnessed the day before Thanksgiving is a reminder that untold thousands of terrorists, gang members, and criminals were invited into our country and remain here to this very day. The border is now secure, thanks to President Trump, but the threat in our interior remains real and urgent. These public safety threats are already inside our land. And President Trump was elected on a promise to find and remove them. And he has already taken significant steps and made significant progress towards fulfilling this promise. But there is more work to be done because President Trump believes that he has a sacred obligation to reverse the calamity of mass, unchecked migration into our country. As a result, the Trump administration is now actively re-examining all of the Afghans imported into the country by Joe Biden. Any individual who threatens our national security or our citizenry will be subject to removal. President Trump has already permanently paused migration of foreign nationals from third world countries that pose a very high risk to the United States.
There you have it, you guys. So we're hearing that is going on right now, that they are reviewing all the individuals that have been pouring into the United States. And they're saying that everybody that came in from Afghanistan, they're saying 190,000. They're checking up on all of them. They want to get them out, but they've lost control, as we heard from Senator Cornyn, of all of the people. And they said they have zero confidence in the vetting process that took place during the Biden administration. And now Donald Trump is going around trying to rally them and clean them up and make sure that America is safe. Now, let's take a look at this update that had come out just 2 days ago as well, as we're hearing that the accused National Guard shooter held without bond after pleading not guilty to murder and assault charges from his hospital bed. So he is saying that he's not guilty. Let's go ahead and take a look here at what is coming out on this. It says an Afghan man appeared in court virtually from his hospital bed in Washington, D.C. to plead not guilty to charges related to the shooting of 2 National Guards at the Capitol. Now, Rahmanullah Lakanawal is accused of shooting 2 National Guard members near the White House last week. One of them, Sarah Beckstrom, died from her injuries a day later. The other victim, Andrew Wolf, remains in critical condition. Now, he could be seen on the video displayed in the courtroom squirming in the hospital bed with his eyes constantly closed in apparent pain. In charging documents publicly posted Tuesday, prosecutors say that he screamed Allah Akbar as he opened fire in downtown Washington, D.C. D.C. Superior Court Magistrate Judge Renee Raymond ordered Lakanawal to be held without bond before the trial, despite arguments from his attorneys that the government waited too long to charge Lakanawal. Now, no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community, the judge said, in deciding to keep the defendant detained. Raymond also said that sheer terror from the incident contributed to her decision to hold Lakanawal without bond. It is fairly clear that he came across the country 3,000 miles armed with a specific purpose in mind, the judge added. He was hospitalized after being shot multiple times on Wednesday. On Tuesday, the man could be seen in the courtroom video in D.C. Superior Court wiggling and moving in his bed, all but his head covered by a blanket. The man mumbled his name when asked while squinting. He said through a translator he cannot open his eyes. I have pain, he said. Lakanawal was charged with several crimes, including premeditated murder and assault with the intent to end lives. He pleaded not guilty to all counts, a lawyer appointed to the case told Raymond. An interpreter accompanied Lakanawal in the virtual hearing, translating between Pashto and English. One of his attorneys, Terrence Austin, argued that his client should be released. He said the Justice Department took too long to charge him and said that he had no prior criminal records. Prosecutors argued that the seriousness of these charges, including first-degree murder while armed, called for him to be detained pre-trial. The prosecutor also argued that the man has no ties to the city and no conditions could ensure the safety of the community. Now, Lakanawal spent the last few years living in Washington state with his family. He came to the U.S. in 2021 after working with U.S. forces in Afghanistan before the U.S. military withdrew from the country. D.C. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro was sitting in the front row of the courtroom throughout the hearing with the U.S. Marshal seated next to her. Austin said that during the hearing on Tuesday that the jury pool was being tainted by public news conferences regarding the case. After the hearing, Pirro exited through the back of the courtroom and held a news conference outside of the courthouse. We have no idea who he is. He has no connection to the community, she said. Let me know, do you agree with the judge's decision to keep him detained? If you think that you agree, put yes. Now, if you disagree, put no. Let me know your thoughts, but they're saying that he is a major threat, has no connections to the community, and he obviously came here to commit crimes. They're saying he is not safe to let him go. That's what the judge agreed to, and if you agree, put yes in the comments. Now, when asked about the death penalty, she added, that is a very weighty decision. That is a decision that comes later in time. That is one that the Attorney General will make. Now, Lakanawal is scheduled to appear in court next on January 14th. Now, in a charging document released on Tuesday, prosecutors said that he screamed Allah Akbar while opening fire in northwest downtown Washington, D.C. In an 8-page court filing, law enforcement described in detail the scene of the shooting with soldiers Beckstrom and Wolf talking and on patrol just after 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on November 26 when gunfire had erupted. The 2 victims fell to the ground and saw the defendant, the affidavit said. Investigators said that they were able to track Lakanawal's movement before the shooting through a surveillance video from near the Farragut West Metro Station in D.C. The man was standing on the sidewalk near the station for about a minute, then ran toward the intersection and around the corner. The surveillance camera captured the moment that the 2 soldiers collapsed to the ground. It also captured Lacanwal's apparently chasing and shooting at another witness and bending down near the two victims he had shot, investigators wrote. So, man, there you have it, you guys. We have seen 3 incidences in just the past week, arrests, in addition to this shooting that we saw that took place in D.C. the day before Thanksgiving. And we're hearing right now, just today, December the 4th, 2025, coming out from senators that they've been briefed on the situation. All the individuals that have poured into the United States over the past 4 years with the Biden administration, they said they now have zero confidence in the vetting process that took place at that time. As we heard them say, they were properly vetted. We saw Donald Trump respond to this, holding up a picture of all the people piled into a plane coming into the U.S., and he said, this is not proper vetting. There's no way that they took the time to go through all these individuals. They just let them pour into the United States. He said the vetting process was a disaster. And we heard an individual, a reporter, actually question Trump on this, and he said, what, are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? He said the vetting process was not done correctly. And he said it was not something that we have confidence in. And that is why we're seeing all these threats and these attacks taking place right now, because of the poor job done by the previous administration. And so now they are saying that that is the reason why we are dealing with this right now. And this is the 3rd one this week. Now, if you appreciate what's going on, drop a 47 in the comments for the Trump administration trying to address this, trying to keep America safe. We've been hearing these warnings. And actually, we had FBI Director Christopher Wray during the Biden administration warning about these threats as well. I shared with you several clips from video footages where he testified saying there are sleeper cells in the United States right now that have poured in over our borders that want to commit crimes against us here in the U.S., that want to do harm to individuals. And this is to civilians. They want to wreak terror and havoc on our nation. So we are starting to see this come to pass, but the Trump administration is trying to make sure that they can address all of these. But as I mentioned, the senators are saying there are so many that are in here now, all over the nation. We've lost track. They are trying to hunt them down and stop them before they can commit these crimes. So we will see 3 in 1 week. As more comes out, you guys, I'll be sure to let you know exactly what is going on so that way you can know the latest. But that is it, you guys. Again, these articles are going to be linked in the description below. If you haven't hit the like button yet, I just need 10 more likes. If you haven't done so yet, to hit 1,000 while we're live, helps out the channel a ton. Subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? And also additional links on how to try to help you out financially this year as we enter 2026 linked down below. How to get the best car insurance, best home insurance, high yield savings accounts. There's various different ones. It'll let you know what are some of the best ones ranked right now. Totally free to just go ahead, click, take a look. No harm in trying to see. And in addition to that, as I mentioned before, Mr. Adam Schneider from Schneider Reports, shoot me an email, reach out to me on social media. If you watch him as well, drop comments in his videos, let him know to reach out to Steve Ram. Would like to do a collaboration. Just can't figure out how to get a hold of the guy. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.